Welcome back to talkSPORT Driving, talkSPORT's dedicated motorsports channel. If you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe and hit that little bell as well, and you'll get notified every time we have a brand new video. Now, last week we posted a very impromptu video with the CEO of Formula E, a man that you'll recognise, Jeff Dodds. We've spoken to Jeff many, many times, and he alluded to something because I saw something I shouldn't have seen while we were in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Well, Jeff's joining me now on a very impromptu video call because I've just been sent something by one of your colleagues, Jeff. And I think it's explained a lot. Do you want to come clean and tell me what's been going on with Max Verstappen?
Well, John, hey, great to talk to you. We've just got back from Sao Paulo, so a late night chat for us. I know you're watching the football. I've got my mug of tea here. First of all, when you say you happen to see something you weren't supposed to, you're like a Snoopy journalist, John. You're like walking around, you're opening every door, you're looking under every crack of everything. So you see everything. That's the first thing.
Do you not see a door and think, I wonder what's behind there?
Well, I might wonder, but I'm unlike you, John. I don't open them and have a quick peek round the corner, which is how you saw me talking to Max Verstappen. So, So look, John, I was chatting to Max because, as you know, probably back at the start of the season, I was doing another interview. I think it was for our friends at TNT Sport, and I happened to mention that the Max Verstappen victory this year in Formula One was a foregone conclusion. Obviously, 99% sure he wins the championship. And the chap that was interviewing me, it came as a bit of a surprise to him. And I was going to say he baited me. That's not fair. But, he kept pushing me, saying, well, how can you know it's a foregone conclusion? In the end, I bit and said, well, look, do you know what? If anybody else beats Max this season, Formula E will donate $250,000 to charity, to the driver's charity of choice who beats him. And I'm not going to lie to you, John. There was a moment halfway through the season where my buttock cheeks were slightly clenching.
Yeah, I can
but as we know, the big gun, 4 times world champion, Max Verstappen came through, winning 9 races, I think, this year. And first of all, I was on the call congratulating him because, he's a generational talent, and that's another spectacular result for Max this year. And he had to come through some adversity, which maybe over the last 2 or 3 seasons he hasn't seen so much of. So I was congratulating him, and what I was saying to him was, look, it would seem a shame if we didn't do some good with the money that was kind of wagered at the start of the year. So my offer to him was, why don't we split it and we'll still make the donation, but half goes to causes that are close to Formula E's heart and half goes to a cause that's close to his heart. And of course, Max is a lovely fella and he jumped straight on that and was very quick to give it to a charity that he'd like to donate to.
I'll tell you what, I've been sent this video now. I know you probably want it to be played when we're meant to announce it, but I'm going to play it in now so people can see the conversation that I kind of saw from a completely different angle peering around a door, a little private moment between you and a 4-time Formula One world champion.
Go for it.
So look, I had this bet at the start of the year, so I was so confident that you were going to win the championship that I said if anybody beat you, I'd give $250,000 to them for a charity of their choice.
Yeah.
But I thought we should do something good with that money. So if you're up for it, I think maybe we split it and you give half of that $250,000 to a charity or a foundation that you care deeply about, and I'll do the same. How does that sound?
Well, I mean, for me, I think what is closest to me is Wings for Life.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good shot.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna get a check over to Wings for Life on your behalf from us so that they can do some good with that. And I think I'm going to use our half. We're doing a partnership with More Than Equal to help us find ways to give great women drivers more time in our cars so they can go on to be professional racing drivers. And I know with your mum and your sister both racing, I know that's something you care about as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I'm sure Wings for Life will be very grateful for that. And of course, to support any kind of motorsport and young talent is amazing. So that I think is definitely a great shout for you. So thank you very much.
No, it's my pleasure. And look, thank you, mate. Thank you for a great season. And I look forward to catching up with you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chef. I wish you all the best, of course. And I'll be watching the championship during my time off.
Yeah, thanks, pal. You take care, Max.
All right. See you.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Now, I don't think that was too bad for me to have witnessed that. That was a nice little conversation there.
Could have been a lot worse, John, couldn't it? You could have stumbled in on something much more sensitive than that. But yeah, you're right. It's a lovely conversation. And I've met Max a few times and we've had a few conversations in the past. And I find he's so passionate on motorsport. He's really easy to talk to about that topic. And yeah, it was nice to pick up with him again.
Yeah, as you can see there, anything for motorsport. We know what Max is like. We know that he's,
Yeah.
Sim racing throughout the night before then going and winning Formula One Grand Prix. We know he watches Formula E as well. He even said there at the end that he'll be watching while he's got some downtime. So it's fantastic to see that he's on board with this. Let's talk about the charity that you've chosen. It's actually kind of launching a new partnership as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So I guess less of a charity and more of a financial commitment into our drive to bring more women into motorsport, John. So we believe quite strongly that motorsport is one of the only sports where men and women can compete equally. What we also believe is that women get much less opportunity to compete in motorsport than men. So I think roughly 97% of the licence holders in motorsport are men. So, the maths are largely stacked against women because, as we know, only a tiny fraction of those men go on to find themselves in the seat of World Championship Series. So the odds are really against even the most talented women coming through the system. So our view is we need to give more opportunities for women and super talented women drivers to get into the seat of the actual car that operates in the World Championship. And in Madrid this year at our pre-season test, which moved from Valencia, we got 18 of the best women drivers in the world into exactly the same car, fully supported by the teams, the 11 teams in Formula E, to test the car over a 2 to 3 hour test window. And some of the results were pretty staggering. I mean, Abby Pulling, actually, driving for Nissan on the day, who's just won the F1 Academy, posted the fastest time amongst the women, but there were a lot of very, very strong times. And during that period, we were talking to an organisation called More Than Equal, who you may have heard of, and that's an organisation that set out with the single ambition of creating the first women's world champion in motorsport. They started off quite specifically saying Formula One, but as we started to talk to them, and I think they realised our commitment and our levels of support to women in racing, we realised quite quickly that we could form a fantastic partnership to try and drive women racing drivers forward. But we also recognise over hundreds of years or certainly decades of history, there are lots of barriers that are there that prevent women from coming all the way through the system and making it to the top. And More Than Equal are doing some work with us to look at the systemic barriers that exist for women in motorsport. They're doing a lot of interviews, they're taking a lot of quant data, and they're going to come back to us with some really firm recommendations on what we could be doing differently as a championship to give more women more time in the car, remove some of those barriers, and give ourselves the best chance of bringing top women drivers through to compete in the series. So that's what our money's going towards.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and obviously that's the money is kind of going towards starting off this initiative, and I guess it will go into other things as well, which I think is fantastic. You must have been really happy. Yeah. You must have been really happy to see Abby Pulling win that Formula One Academy Championship because obviously she's been really dominant in that championship, kind of like how Max has been over the last few years as well. And I'm personally looking forward to working with her next year in GB3 because the GB3 Championship that I've been hosting for the last few years, we've got drivers now going into F1, but also we've got a guy called John Bennett that's gone from GB3 straight to F2, and he's looking like he's mixing it up with the kind of top 10 there. So it shows you
right the way through the channel at the moment, John. So F4, F3, F2, super competitive, as we know. We know F1 goes in dynasties. So, less competitive than the other series, but it was nice to see a bit more competition coming through at the end of the season. And great to see my old mate, Zach Brown, after, I think, 26 years, McLaren taking them back to the Manufacturers' Championship and obviously Max coming through in the Driver Championship. So quite excited that Formula One's getting a little bit more competitive. As you know, in our world, in Formula E, we had the first race of the season in Sao Paulo and no one really knew what to expect going into the first race. And, I mean, you were there, John, but it kind of had everything, didn't it? I mean, we saw Jaguar, Nissan, Porsche powertrains right up there. We saw Team Kiro come out of nowhere in their first race as a new team and look good. Mahindra, I think, in 5th and 6th, looking really strong. Pascal had the most incredibly dramatic accident and, testament to the FIA, the safety of the car, got out of that car and walked away and was released from hospital that night. But was leading there and Mitch Evans came through from last place to win the first race of the season in this kind of most incredible spectacle. So we know competition is not our challenge in Formula E.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? We saw Max Verstappen go from 17th to win in Brazil.
Yeah.
We thought, well, no one's going to do better than that. And then Mitch Evans goes and wins from 21st on the grid, which was remarkable. And
absolutely insane.
You must be looking forward
And,
to Mexico as well, because Mexico is a race we saw in Brazil, how many fans were there, but also Mexico is the one where it's always a massive sellout. We saw last year, obviously, your mate Usain Bolt was there wowing the
yep.
crowds. And I believe we've got something exciting for maybe the crossover fans of motorsport happening in Mexico as well, with, you know, a certain
Yep.
Mexican talent that will certainly get the crowds going.
Yeah, look, I mean, Sao Paulo every year gets bigger and better, and the mayor of Sao Paulo, massive supporter of Formula E and bringing Formula E to the city. Grandstand sold out. You know, I was standing there on the podium. I get that wonderful position to see the drivers come up and collect their trophies, and literally thousands and thousands of people, as far as you could see down the track there, all crowded around. And you're right, we go to Mexico where there'll be 40 or 50,000 people there in the Forest, incredibly passionate motorsport fans. And when you get that many passionate fans in one place, John, that you've got to give them something special to look at. And you're right, without giving the game away just yet, we'll have a little special performance for them, which hopefully will get them excited. And I know how patriotic they are, so I think they'll love it.
Well, apologies if I've said too much, but I'm sure we
No. Well,
can
at least you weren't poking around the corner of a door finding out about that one, John.
Yeah, I know. I mean, if anything this has taught me, it's to continue snooping around doors when I'm away.
Exactly. You never know what you might find. Hey, you didn't ask the question, but if you don't mind me saying it, we're supporting, as you know, Women in Motorsport, but I also love where Max decided to give his money to. So I want to give them a little bit of a plug. So Max decided he'd like to donate his money to a charity called Wings for Life, which is a Red Bull supported charity. Wings for Life are very focused on people who have spinal cord injuries. They do incredible work. Nowhere near as dramatic as the work that they do, John, but I've had 3 back surgeries, 3 spinal surgeries. So I know even, you know, the smallest injury, how debilitating that is on the spine. So the work they're doing with these incredible people is revolutionary and life changing. So when he said that was a charity that he wanted to support, it was amazing for me, because I say it's something that's pretty close to my heart. And then when we mentioned our charity, of course, or our foundation, or our focus on women in motorsport, you know, Max's mum and his sister were both motor racing drivers. So equally, as I was saying, look, I love that charity and what they do, Wings for Life, he was saying that's a brilliant initiative, Women in Motorsport, because it's something super close to his heart. So yeah, super cool.
It's all worked out. It turns out that you should start making more casual bets in interviews.
Maybe. I'm not sure my board members and my investors liked it when I made the last one, John, if I'm honest with you. So I'm not sure I get away with another one.
Yeah, but look, it's for charity, so it's all a good thing. So it's great.
Absolutely.
Wings for Life and More Than Equal. We've spoken to More Than Equal a few times now, and I know David Coulthard's involved in that somehow, and he's a big advocate.
He is, yeah. He was one of the founders, one of the founding partners. Yeah. DC, as you know, is part of our commentary team, works on Formula E, and a close friend of the family at Formula E. So great to be supporting something he's so passionate about as well.
Awesome stuff. Well, Jeff, thanks for jumping on this impromptu call. Obviously, when
absolute pleasure, John. Great to see you, mate. And I'll see you.
To find out what's going on. We really enjoyed the first live race commentary we brought on talkSPORT 2 from Sao Paulo, and we'll look forward to Mexico, I guess, in January. We've got a bit of a Christmas period to enjoy, and then we'll be straight back out there.
You're there in Mexico, John, are you?
Of course I am.
Perfect. Well, in which case, I'll see you in Mexico, mate. In the meantime, to you and all of your listeners, all your viewers, have a fantastic Christmas, great festive period. See you on the other side. Jeff
Dodds there, the CEO of Formula E. Will have a great Christmas, great charities benefiting from that $250,000 that Jeff very casually dropped there with the help of Max Verstappen. And we'll be back, as we say, with loads of build-up to the next Formula E round in Mexico City on the 11th of January. Keep watching this channel, talkSPORT Driving. Keep listening to talkSPORT 2 and our motorsport show On Track. And whatever you do, make sure you hit subscribe to this channel and hit that little bell as well.